On this episode of DockSide TV, we're introducing the brand new Matrix RipShad. This is our suspending new jerkbait that floats back up to the surface. That's perfect for fishing shallow grass beds, just like we did on this episode right here, fishing the shorelines of Lake Pontchartrain for nice speckled trout in the grass. Stay tuned for this episode of DockSide TV, and these are going to be going out to all our Matrix Bait Box subscribers before the stores get them in this upcoming box. See, these mullets keep flashing and splashing right in front of us. That's the key to jerkbait and hardbait fishing. You really want to be on some mullet activity whenever. That's the food of choice. That's what you're trying to represent with these hardbaits, and you're looking for really nice trout that like to feed on the smaller mullets in the pack. So when you're on big groups of mullets like this, always tie on a hard bait. There he is. I was looking away right there. Wasn't even moving the lure. He tried to pull the pole out my hands. That just shows you how important it is to pause these jerk baits during your retrieve. A lot of times your strike happens in the middle of a pause. 11 3/4. Go ahead and let that one go. Let me show you the difference in this RipShad. This RipShad's our 4-inch suspended bait. We've been using the Matrix minnow for a long time, and that's a very effective one too, but the minnow dives down and can get deeper where the RipShad stays shallow. So right now it's a real shallow grass flat. We're going to stay with this, but we may switch to the Matrix minnow in a little bit when we go deeper. Here. Barely got him hooked. Barely got him hooked. Oh. There we go. Now that's what I'm talking about. Another one on that cool breeze after my man Drew Breeze. A little black and gold RipShad. Yielding a beautiful, beautiful trout. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what we're looking for with these jerk baits. Solid 14 to 20 inch trout. This is one extremely fun way to fish, guys. So if you can hear them mullets in the background there. That is the key to jerkbait fishing. Now this ain't the biggest one in the world, but nevertheless a keeper. A little grass on here right now. That's what you want to be catching when you're fishing speckled trout with these jerk baits during the transition months, such as September, October. You gotta be on the grass. We're just floating, trying to float this RipShad right over the grass, and that's where the speckled trout are hanging out. Yeah, they hit that one right by the boat. Oh, a little red, a little red. He's not gonna make the team. Not surprised that this is a red, considering how close to the boat it was. Let that little guy go. I'm gonna show you what I'm doing here and why we're doing it. So, first cold front of the year. Got a pretty decent north wind, 10 to 15. The north is at my back right now, so I'm hugging the shoreline. That way I can get that wind behind the lure, get more distance. And then the way you want to work this RipShad is you just ride tip down, vigorous rips, pop, 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 and then reel in your slack and pause. Just let it sit there. Rip, 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 pause. You always want to pause it a little bit, because a lot of times they'll hit it when it's sitting there doing nothing. That's pretty much it. And we're just hugging this grass line. There's a real defined grass line that comes right off the bank that I can see with my eyes, and I know there's some more grass out where I'm casting because I keep catching it also. And that's what you want. The grass is the key in these transition months. That's where the bait's at, that's where the fish are. Till water temperatures get in the low 70s, maybe the 60s, they're gonna really use grass to their advantage. So we're gonna target grass for the next few weeks, and we're gonna be throwing a lot of hard baits. Another thing that I look for a lot when I'm fishing this shallow water, these shallow water grass flats, is I'm looking for slicks. I'm looking for mullet activity, obviously any kind of shrimp jumping. But slicks really, oh, there he is. Slicks can really tell you where the fish are, especially in shallow water. There's a decent one here. Oh, and I missed him at the boat. Unbelievable. Oh well. Oh well. Maybe there's another one out there. Sure there is. That was about a 15-incher. I saw him at the boat. But you really want to pay attention to those slicks. If you see a good bit of slicks in the area, you're going to be catching some fish. What happens on a slick, it's a lot of fish species it happens to, but speckled trout are known to really school up. And when they're eating crustaceans or pogies or whatever, they'll throw it back up when they're gorging themselves in little schools. And whenever the regurgitation happens, it'll form like an oil slick on the surface of the water. So it's not as guaranteed as like finding a flock of seagulls eating shrimp, but it's a good thing to look for, you know, just like we talk about all the time when we look for loons in the wintertime. Slicks can really help you figure out where you want to maybe put your power pole down or hold the boat in position for a while and make more casts, not cover so much water so fast. This is not a keeper, but it is a speckled trout nevertheless. It's funny how some of these fish are 10 or 11 inches and some of them are 2 pounds. As it gets colder, you'll notice almost every fish becomes quality, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, up to 3 and 4-pounders. But as the beginning of the trout season happens, you do fight through some throwbacks, at least nowadays with the fresher water situations and circumstances that we have. Like Pontchartrain used to be known as like pretty much a no throwback area, but we get plenty of them nowadays. These grass shorelines on the northern part of Lake Pontchartrain, they run all the way from the trestle all the way to the causeway. You got Car Drive, Bayou Liberty, Bayou Lacombe, Cane Bayou, Fontainebleau State Park. I don't think any of them are better than the others. You just cover water, make sure you're on some grass, you're gonna run into some trout. Really good areas to fish this time of year because October, November, you're gonna get a lot of light cold, small cold fronts with light north winds. And the light northerly winds are perfect as the land will protect you. Water stays clean. You're on the leeward side of Lake Pontchartrain. And you're just gonna work these jerk baits over those shallow grass flats. And when you run into them, you can really run into a herd of them, and they got some really nice fish that cruise the shorelines of Lake Pontchartrain. A lot of people, when they think of Lake Pontchartrain, all they think of is the bridges. There's so many more places to fish in this one of the largest saltwater lakes in the world. So I don't think it's just a bridge where the fish are gonna be. Fish on. Jump. Another one here. Not a monster, but this one will stretch. Get these trebles out of his mouth. So this is the ticket, guys. Get your hands on these Matrix RipShads. Starting to put a box together, one fish at a time. These are the perfect frying size. Put a little measurement on this one here. He makes the team. Fish, good fish. Water skating, man. Here we go. Started off a little tough this morning, but as the sun came out, they wanted to play. A lot of times with these jerk baits, I do find if you get a little sunshine, that bite can pick up. I don't know if the sun starts refracting light off the bait as it flashes underneath the water, but I tell you, today for sure that's been the case. Sun came up, it was cloudy with the front still coming through at daylight. Once the clouds pushed through, these little guys started nibbling. We'll take it. red. So, a couple things we've learned today. That these fish are hanging out in the grass. Look at all the grass on my lure. The little rat reds are hanging out with the trout, and the fish are eating these RipShads being ripped out the grass. Go ahead and let this one go. Treble hooks. Another good fish here. It's just been really a nice morning once the sun got up and we really started getting in on the action. So make sure to subscribe to our Matrix bait box, as you will receive these new Matrix RipShads before the stores get them in next month's Matrix bait box. And make sure you subscribe to our DockSide TV YouTube channel, which features catching fish, all different techniques and styles, all different species of fish across the Gulf Coast. Hope you enjoyed this episode of DockSide TV, and until next time, good fishing. On this episode of DockSide TV, we're introducing the brand new On this episode of DockSide TV,